back to the 21 convention. This is the 10th year anniversary. It's 2017. The next speaker coming up here, I met him in the summer of 2015 when he was on his first kind of U.S. tour. He is a man of many talents and many faces. We like to call him the Indiana Jones of the Red Pill because he is a very unique individual. We all know of digital nomads and sort of, living life on your own terms. Goldmund is one of these unique individuals who can sort of live a real authentic life and still have a lot of fun while he's doing it. And I would say that if there's anything that describes Goldmund, he is an artist of life. And so without any further ado, I would like to bring on Goldmund Unleashed and the Indiana Jones of the Red Pill. Yes, I did all this for you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Yeah.
You're welcome.
All right, thanks.
And like any good adventurer, Goldmund needs a bullwhip.
Oh my goodness.
I'd like to present you with the honorary bullwhip, sir.
Oh my goodness. Thank you. I'm going to take this out with me. I'm going to take this out and use it to pick up girls for sure. Wow, look at this thing. All right, so yes, the Indiana Jones of the Red Pill. I was dubbed that by Rollo. It's gotten me in trouble because I changed my Twitter name, or my Twitter bio, to the Indiana Jones of the Red Pill while I was on my last road trip. And when I went through Asheville, North Carolina, some feminists found me, and they put out a serious APB warning all over Facebook, all over Twitter, like, this red pill guy is in Asheville, be careful, ladies. So that almost got me in a lot of trouble, but nothing really happened. All right, so anyway, creating a life of self-expression. So throughout the things that I've learned through game and the Red Pill, everything that it's come down to, I've found, was living this life of expressing myself. Whereas before, I was highly, highly introverted. I was suffering from severe social anxiety. Like up here now, I'm still super anxious. I hate public speaking, but I'll get over it in a few minutes. All right, so that's what the theme is gonna be, so keep that in mind. Again, the background on me. I started writing 3.5 years ago. I started my blog. I just started writing about my adventures, mostly about sex and meeting girls. But if you read my stuff, you'll see that it's much more than that. And I am just trying to live this life of self-expression and adventure. All right. So what got me into it was game. Okay, so up here, for the past couple days, I took my camera out because I'm a street photographer as well. So these girls that you see in the slides are all from Orlando, and they just held up the different themes. This one says, guys need game. Okay, so game, first of all. The shortest definition I can think when I think of game is very concise. It's just how you display your worth, all right? When you display your worth to women. That's it. So if you think about that, the faster you can do it and the more impactful, the better your game is going to be. Okay, so that's what I mean when I talk about game. And for the sexual marketplace, okay, women, they're inherently valuable, right? They're born with vaginas. We want access to those vaginas. So they have that value. As a man, though, and the reason we need game is because we have to display that. We have to work for it. We have to work to create our value, all right? So our whole lives, since we're born, we're building ourselves up. We're making ourselves stronger physically. We're making an impact on the world, okay? So that's where the game comes in. That's why guys need game. Girls, they don't really need it. All right. My late friend, Andrew, the private man, used to say that men and women think differently. Okay, so this is very true when it comes to the sexual market. That's also a big part of game because what we find attractive in girls, their physical appearance, that's not what girls find attractive in guys. So it's understanding the way they think and the sexual psychology behind it is very important. And what I've really irked me, because I live in Brooklyn, New York, where it's very hipsterish, and you have this androgynous culture where the guys do want to get laid. These hipster guys do want to get laid, but they're dressing like the girls, they're acting like girls, they're playing with their emotions, and it's just the most weak, thin-skinned, like, they're so egocentric because they're thinking what attracts them to women is gonna attract women to them. And so I use that hipster thing. I just wanted to get this off my chest because it was driving me crazy. Every time I go to a hipster neighborhood, I see it all the time. So that's another big part of game, is understanding what girls find attractive. All right, I'm not gonna go into game too much, but I am gonna give you the top 3 things that I found that are important when it comes to attracting women. All right, number 1, it's called game. You have to have fun, all right? Have fun. This is the number 1 thing when you're out, especially. Okay, I'm a big specialist in the nightlife. All right, girls want to have fun. When I was on that road trip, I was listening to the radio all the time. Everybody knows that song by Cyndi Lauper, Girls Just Want to Have Fun. I heard it because I hadn't listened to that song before, like for years and years. Now that I know game, that song is brilliant. It's like everything comes out of her, the way she sings, the music, the energy. I'd recommend before you go out to listen to that song, because the number 1 thing is have fun with game, because girls just want to have fun. All right, number 2, this kind of goes along with number 1, and I think this is an advantage for guys who grew up with sisters. You treat them like little girls, all right? You tease them like it's your little sister, okay? So number 1 was have fun. Number 2, you have fun by treating them like little girls, okay? Especially when they're out. I'm not talking about like long-term relationships, so when you hear my stuff, keep that in mind. I'm more like I like one-night stands, I like short flings, because my life doesn't have room for a relationship right now. All right, so treat them like a little girl, play with them. Remember that if they don't have kids, they probably still mentally are little girls, so treat them like that. Number 3, all right, as a man, you need to be a challenge to these girls. Okay, you can't come across as desperate and needy. So number 3 was be a challenge. Okay, that's where the teasing comes in as well. You're kind of making fun of them, you're poking fun, you're having a good time, you're saying you amuse me because I'm the, what word am I looking for? I use this one all the time. I'm the treasure, or something like that. So again, yes, the prize. You are the prize, okay? So have fun, treat her like a little girl, and be a challenge. All right, so those are the 3 top things in game. All right, so if you want to step up your game overnight, and we just had a presentation on this. All right, we had Tanner talk about this, and George just talked about it, but this was the number 1 thing that changed for me overnight. Okay, so game takes a long time. Practice with women takes a long time. Seduction takes a long time to really learn. But style, you can do overnight. I had a consulting with Tanner years back. Thank you, Tanner. Wonderful. And after that, I went to Macy's. I found somebody who looked like they knew what they were doing. It actually ended up being this gay guy, but he had great eye for fashion. He gave me pants that fit. He gave me shirts that fit with my, I told him what Tanner's profile of me was. Found the shirts, exactly what I wanted. I bought these shoes, all right, new boots. I didn't have the hat yet. I couldn't quite rock the hat. I didn't have the confidence yet, but that night when I went out, I remember Tanner told me, he was like, your approaches are gonna be so much easier. And you know what? It was right then and there. That night, it was easy because the girls saw it right away. All right, so on this note, I started about a year ago, I started making jewelry, okay? So I always wear this pendant. This pendant, it's actually a piece of ayahuasca. And so now I'm making my own jewelry. You can get it at masculineaccessories.com. You can buy it online there, or I'll have some for sale in the back if you want to check those out. But this thing, I'm telling you, I said before that girls don't have game. Every single time I'm talking to a girl and she's interested, 100% she's going to ask me about it. Okay, so this like the bait. Okay, she asked me about it. What is that? Whatever I'm wearing around my neck. Okay, it's always a thing around my neck. The bracelets are more for, I like the trifecta, the watch, the bracelet, and the pendant. But every single girl asks what's going on around my neck. Okay, especially in this area, in this country. It's not very common for guys to wear necklaces. I actually remember on that trip in 2015 when I met Rollo, my car broke down in Florida, and it was Pensacola. Has anybody been to Pensacola? Oh my God. It was, I mean, for me, it was the worst thing in the world. I can't even, it was kind of like redneck, I don't know, but they're still living in the city. It was just, I was such an outsider, I did not fit in. So I was walking down the street, guys, within 10 minutes, 4 guys had said, hey fag, nice necklace. But that was Pensacola. Like, the point is you get noticed, okay? So if you're interested, like I said, you could check out my stuff. I'm very, very selective when it comes to the gems and the stones I use, or you could check out the website. All right, so style, again, if you want to do it overnight. Isn't that girl pretty? Yeah, I was chatting her up last night. All right, another one. All right, so the guys that I've met here, I have seen and talked to them. A big concern for them, because a lot of them are introverts. I think every single guy I met, I'd be considered an introvert so far. The biggest problem would be getting out of your head when it comes to going out and loosening up and having a good time. All right, so I've got some tips, especially I think it'll be good for this room. And this is just in general, okay? It's not just going out to meet girls. This is just feeling comfortable in a space anyway. So the thing is, when I go out, this took years and years of practice because I had a lot of negative self-beliefs because I didn't like the fact that I was an introvert, and I kind of beat myself up about it. So the number one thing is that when I went out, I would try to notice little details. I would do everything I could to stop the thoughts focused on me and look outside. So if you step into a bar, I don't know, you're just looking around, you say, oh, look at these lights. Those are weird lights. Or you just keep it positive too, try and find something nice. There's not really anything nice in here to look at. You guys are nice. Look at this, yeah, I like Luke's hat. So stuff like that. Stay out of your head. Whatever's inside, you don't want to focus on that. And then when you find something that is interesting, I'll give you an example. Last night, okay, I was out taking my photos. I was also talking to girls. There was one girl, this is my favorite target, if you will. She's sitting alone at a bar eating, like she had some kind of wrap and some fries. So I just went up, stood next to her. I said, hey, are those good? That's it. It's that simple. You're not thinking about yourself. You're actually just starting a friendly conversation. And what's funny, with this type of girl who's eating alone at a bar, 9 times out of 10, she'll be like, yeah, it's good. You want to try some? And they get free food, too. So it's like, I ate like half her fries last night. We had a good conversation. But like that's a very simple example. Another example, I'm sure you guys want to hear about this. On Friday night when we went out, I ended up pulling that girl back to the hotel. How many people were at that little party? It seemed there was a lot. Okay, so at that buffet or whatever, there was like 40 of us, 40 guys for a men's convention. I didn't see one other girl until maybe like an hour in. I see the blonde standing at the bar, okay? The only girl surrounded by a bunch of sharks, okay? So I'm like, all right, I need to do something because I kind of wanted to put on a show. I'll tell you the truth, I did. But I just wanted to chat the girl up too. So I went up to her and my approach was, hi, I was like, are you alone? And she's like, yeah, I'm alone. And she looked kind of scared. I was like, this is really weird, isn't it? You're surrounded by all these dudes. Are you part of this convention? She's like, no, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what's going on. Then I told her, but the fact that I went up to her and I didn't say anything self-conscious, didn't ask to buy her a drink, but I made that observation. Completely nothing inside myself. I didn't say anything anxious, but it was just a pure observation of the situation. Girls love that, okay? So stay out of your head, notice things like that, and then make that observation, okay? And that's it. Start the friendly conversation. Don't think about like you're gonna fuck her right then and there. You have to just start the conversation first. All right, so anything else on that? Also, like I said before, keep it positive as possible because girls, again, they want to have fun. The number one rule, keep it positive because they want to have fun. They don't want to talk philosophy. They don't want to talk politics. They don't want anything negative. Keep it fun. Treat them like little kids. All right, and you do that by getting out of your head. All right, so introversion. Like I said, as an advantage, there's a lot of disadvantages, okay? The anxiety issues that might pop up, might feel trapped in your head all the time, but the very, very good things about it. Number one is you have the ability to observe and focus, okay? So that's one of my talents for sure is observation. If you ever read my writing or my books or my stories, you'll see that I can paint a very good scene of what's going on because my whole life I've been observing things and kind of detached. Introverts have that advantage for sure. Also, focus goes along with that. So if you are an introvert, you should be very happy that you have the natural ability to focus. All right, for extroverts, as this is an extrovert world, things are built for them. Life is a lot easier for an extrovert. But if you try and teach an extrovert to focus, much, much more difficult. All right, so I work with a lot of artists in New York, and the best ones, I wouldn't say the performance artists, those are the extroverts, but the actual artists who are doing something meaningful, they are all introverts, and they all have this extreme ability to focus. So please keep that in mind, and if you have this negative image, like I did for a long time about being an introvert, keep these things in mind. Number 2 is introspection. Okay, you can actually sit back, it goes along with focusing. You could think about what you did wrong in a situation, and then make the steps, have those steps to make it better. Okay, so introspection, another positive for being an introvert. And the third one, this is your inner universe. So if you've heard that term before, we've all got this inner world that is kind of, we're the god of this, our inner world. It's how we see the world, but inside us is what matters. It's come from everywhere. Every book you've read, every person you've talked to has started to build up your inner universe. Introverts, okay, their whole lives, that thing has been building and building because most of it stays inside because they have this hard, it's not easy to express yourself and get that stuff out there. So the inner universe of an introvert is going to be very deep and it's going to be very, very complex. So you should be proud of that. If you are an introvert, you should be very proud of these things and work on ways to get them out. And that's what the presentation about is. It's about self-expression and expressing all these things because you do have it inside you. All right, speaking of the inner universe, people always ask me what's like a couple of keys to doing what I do and being able to express myself. There's not really an answer. I don't have many answers for people because I want everybody to go on their own path. You have to do it yourself. I can give you my guidance and what I've learned on my path, but you're going to have to do it yourself. The one key, though, that I will admit was a key that unlocked a lot of things for me. Let's go. All right, ayahuasca. Who's heard of this? Okay, good. So it's getting popular. No, with the internet now, it's amazing because stuff like this, we wouldn't even know about it if it wasn't for the beauty of the internet. I want to hear somebody else's thoughts on ayahuasca before I go into it. Who wants to share? Just anything, something simple. Go ahead.
It was crazy and reflective.
Yes, it's crazy. It is definitely crazy. It will take you places you can't even imagine. What it is, I told you, this is a piece of ayahuasca. It grows in the Amazon jungle. It's just a simple vine. All right, it's a very common vine. You go to the Amazon, you could see it growing everywhere. So you have this vine, and that's one ingredient is the vine. This is the actual ayahuasca. The second ingredient is a leaf called chacruna. And that leaf, which is also super common, is one of the highest concentrations of DMT in the world. All right, so DMT, our bodies make it. It's not dangerous or anything. But what the ayahuasca does, it allows your brain to absorb the DMT. So usually your brain has these blockers, call them like bouncers at a club. What the ayahuasca does, it gets rid of the bouncers so the DMT can come in and have a party. And it's a party. So when I went down there for the first time, my first ceremony, I was 30 years old and at a crossroads. I was in a relationship. I was living with a girl. Had been about 2 years, and I was starting to get crazy because it felt like we were married, and I didn't want to be married. There was other stuff going on, so I just decided, I worked with a professor at a university for a while. He's from Peru. Told me about ayahuasca, and I was like, it sounds perfect. So we arranged a trip to go down to Peru. We found a proper shaman. Did our first ceremony there, and I'm not going to go into like the weird, because when you hear somebody describe a trip or something like that, it doesn't make sense because it's not your experience. But I'm just saying what you do is when you lay down after you drink it, and you just start going deep, and then the whole world your eyes are closed, but the whole universe opens up. So there was a couple times where I shot out into space. I'd entered a spirit world for a while. That's what DMT is called, the spirit molecule. And in that spirit world, that's actually talking about this and how I'm here today, is I met one of the spirits, and he kind of opened my chest up. That inner universe came out, And then the Spirit made me promise that I was going to start writing about it. Okay, so that actually is how I started writing. That's how I got my blog. It's how I found my pen name. This is why I'm here, is because of ayahuasca. Also, what else it does, a lot of people get very sick when they drink ayahuasca, but it's not a physical sickness, okay? It's not like the stuff poisons you. What happens is that you go so far deep into yourself during ayahuasca, you'll see stuff that had happened to you when you were 6 years old, all right? And this happened to me a few times. So you see these things that happen, maybe it was a parent or a teacher or somebody at church, that something happened when you were super young, 6 years old, and it gave you some kind of, it stuck with you your whole life. And you had no idea it was a part of you, but then you see it. Like this happened when I was a kid. There was nothing I could do about it. I didn't know anything. And it's affected me and it's held me back my whole life. And then you realize how much it's held you back. That's when you get sick, because the psychological impact is so big that you have to throw up. And it feels good throwing up. It's called a purge. So you're throwing up, and as you're throwing up, you're purging all of this negative energy out of you. So that's what the sickness is from. Happens to pretty much everybody. If you drink deep enough, the same story every time. You see these things that have been holding you back, you let it go. So that's why it's a very, very healing medicine. So if you want more there's tons of information. If you read my blog, you can just Google it on my blog. I've written a few articles about it, and I recommended a couple books. But for some people, it is, life-changing. So if you're interested, they say ayahuasca calls you. So if you're not interested, I would say don't do it, or if you're just semi-curious or you just want to get fucked up, that's not a good idea. It's not fun. Definitely not fun. It's not a fun drug. It's not a drug, it's a medicine. And she spelled it wrong on there. There's no H at the end. She's pretty too, huh? All right, so that's a key. Like I said, there's not many rules or things that I give because people need to find their own path, but ayahuasca was one of those things I could say definitely was a life changer. All right, the red pill. Okay, this is always fun to talk about. So speaking of, on that first trip to Peru, the way you get there is you fly to Lima by commercial jet. Then from Lima, you take a small plane, like really small. There's probably only 20 people in it. And you fly to Iquitos. And Iquitos is just a very fascinating city. It's the biggest city in the world where you can't get there by car. There's no roads. So you either fly in or you take the Amazon. You take a boat up the Amazon. So as I'm on the plane, I'm reading Rollo's first book, okay, The Rational Male. And I'm reading it, and because I'm meditating all this stuff before ayahuasca. That's why it was such an intense experience. And a girl, this has only happened to me a small handful of times. I see this cute girl get on the plane. I'm like, please, God, yes, please sit next to me. And then she sits next to me. I'm like, yes. She asked me about the book. I told her it's about intersexual dynamics and how important it was. We actually had a very good conversation about it. She was reading The Power of Now, which I had read before. Plus, she's going to Aikido, so I knew she was a cool girl. Anyway, we end up hooking up. That's another story, though. Where was I going with this? I got sidetracked. All right, so what this did, the red pill, what this did for me, because I learned pickup first. Okay, so I learned pickup arts when I was like 27. I got depressed one day because I fucked a really, really fat girl. It was not even one of the fattest girls I've ever seen in my life. I met her through couch surfing. Okay, you could read the story on my blog. It's called How I Was Led to Game by Fucking a Fat Girl. Super depressed, Googled it, and then that got me into pickup, okay, because I couldn't meet girls, all right? I met that fat girl through couch surfing. Read the story. I don't want to get into that. So I did pickup for about 2 years, and it worked. Like, the games and the gimmicks actually worked, okay? You could memorize canned lines and openers and talk to girls and do routines and then get laid. That worked for a few years. Then I got the girlfriend, the girl I told you I was living with for 2 years. And that's when I found the red pill. And if it wasn't for red pill stuff, like Rollo's stuff, that relationship I had with that girl would have never worked, all right? Because this put everything together. Like I said, this synthesized everything. So if game was like I said, that was the gimmick, and the red pill turned it into something real. And like you said, the red pill, it's called the red pill because you actually see the matrix. And I like to do the analogy. My father's an auto mechanic. So I like cars. I just know how to do an oil change. But it's like game is getting the keys to the Lamborghini, and the red pill is understanding how the whole beautiful system works. Okay, so again, very important, another life-changing thing. We're all here, we're all familiar with it, but try and blend the two. All right, game and the red pill, synthesize everything, and then it makes you just very, very honest with yourself. All right, a topic that people probably didn't think I was going to talk about is healthy relationships and love, okay? Most guys that get into game that I talk to, because I coach guys, they just want to go out and meet girls, and I always ask them, what are your goals for the next few years? 90% of them always say they want a healthy relationship, okay? 90% say at some point they want like a nice, loving family and loving wife, which is a great goal. There's only a very small percentage of people, I think myself included, that really are probably not going to be in a relationship for a long time, maybe not ever, because we have other things we're working on. But that relationship that I had, thanks to game, thanks to the red pill, I lived with that girl for 2 years, and what that did is, it was an unselfish love. It was great, and like I said, if it wasn't for game and the red pill, I would have never met her. But what that did is, it gave me a dose of real, actual self-confidence. Okay, the self-confidence to know that I had this woman that I desired, and she was loving me back, and I had her hooked for those few years too. She was very devastated when we broke up, and we still actually talk now. We have dinner every now and then. But the dose of self-confidence that you get from a real healthy relationship that's not toxic at all that was another life-changing thing for me. Okay, so I don't think relationships are a bad thing at all, because most of the guys I coach, they want one. That's great. But they also want to get laid in the meantime. And you have to have sex with a girl before you have a relationship with her. So they, like I said, they go hand in hand. But that dose of self-confidence that I got from that was another life-changing thing that really, after that relationship, the expression came out. Okay, then the things I wanted to do were able to manifest themselves because of that relationship. All right, being honest with yourself. All right, being honest, this is another thing. I think I'm so grateful for what I've learned in the past few years being involved with the community and game and the red pill, is that it's funny because people think of pickup, they think of sleazy pickup artists, but that turned me into an actual honest person that didn't need to use pickup lines anymore, and I could be honest and tell the girls, listen, they know exactly who I am. Right off the bat when I approach them, they know like I'm not gonna be their boyfriend. Okay, it has to do with the jewelry and the way I look and present myself, but being very, very honest with yourself, that's gonna allow you to create your best work, all right? If you're honest with yourself, you're able to create your best possible work. You'll be able to express yourself very truthfully, very honestly, and that's what you're going to do. Also, if you're honest with yourself, you can be honest about your fears of what other people think about you. Because that's another thing that holds people back is the fear of what others think. Okay, so like I said, I hate public speaking because I feel like I'm in the spotlight and I'm being judged by everybody, but that's a fear that I have to acknowledge, and that's kind of holding me back a little bit, but that's okay because you can get over it. And again, being honest with yourself. So many people are terrified to do it. This is why the world is filled with distractions. Okay, we've got social media, bullshit Hollywood, all this stuff meant to distract, so you stop being honest with yourself. All right, so very, very key. All right, so again, self-expression. To me, this has been, because like I said, growing up introverted and not being able to express my thoughts properly, this has been, for me, basically the meaning of life. As men, we're here to build, we're here to put our vision out onto the world, we're here to make something, okay? It could be your business, all right, if you're really involved in your business. It could be your family, okay? Or it could be, if you're an artist, your art. Whatever comes out, this is what it means to be a man, is taking yourself, putting your vision on the world, and creating something, okay? So that's why I was stressing it so much. It's also a huge amount of personal freedom you get from expressing yourself and saying what you will. It's like a rebellion from the collective mind of the world, which we know is really, really bad right now, especially politically. Everything is just, nobody knows what's going on. Expressing yourself is a way to rebel against all of that. And it's a very, very beautiful thing. So I want to encourage everybody here to find something, all right? You're going to find something to express yourself. Like I said, it could be a business, could be relationships and family, It could be art. It could be something small. Like I met a guy the other day. He was here. He said, he kind of lives where a place where people don't express themselves, like kind of near the Bible Belt. And what he does is he creates, he finds old furniture that people don't want anymore. He brings it to his home and he just makes it into something beautiful. And that's a way of expressing yourself. So if you can find something like that, I would say it will enrich your life, it will give you a purpose, and it will give you something to be very, very proud of yourself, and you'll feel like you've accomplished something. All right, so that's the bulk of the talk, was this. I do want to talk about ways that I've expressed myself, what you've seen so far with the girls and the photographs. I was a photographer before, back in the early 2000s. Early 2000s, I was suffering from a lot of social anxiety. So I didn't want to do street photographs with people because I couldn't even approach people, like strangers. I was just terrified of them. So I did like landscapes and animals. That's how I was a photographer for a few years. Then that fell off. When I got into game, I picked up my camera again, and I started doing street photography. And in the past few years, I've met so many girls through the street photography. I mean, it is an honest hobby. I love it. I like the art behind it. It's fun. I get really cool photographs. I have gallery shows in New York with them sometimes. But I've met so many girls through this. It has been unbelievable. So last night when I was out, I didn't want to stay out too long, but I ended up staying out till 1:30 because every single girl I took a picture of just wanted to talk, wanted my information. Every girl has Instagram, so like this is just going to get more and more popular. If you walk around with a camera like I was doing last night, I mean, you stand out. So the camera is like this. It's almost like when a guy walks around with a guitar. All right, you know the guy's walking around with a guitar because he wants chicks, he wants to get laid. Camera's the same thing. And so I've spun it to How to Seduce Women because that's what a big part of the book is about. But if you're interested in photography at all, please read the book. I'll have it for sale in the back because this is one thing that's definitely changed my life. And it's super fun. I have so much fun with it. All right, my other book, Art of the One Night Stand. The story I told you when I was on the plane, sat next to the girl, I was reading Rollo's book. The whole story's in there. What this is just a collection of my adventures of around the world. As you can imagine, they all ended in one night stand, so that's what every story ends in. But I also break down my game, which at the end of each story, I break it down into, usually there's 10 different tips, because after I slept with each girl, I asked them, like, what turned you on at first? So I got information from them, and plus I'm pretty game aware, so I know it worked. It's a very fun book. I put a lot of effort into it. If you're interested in that, I'll have it for sale in the back too. And my favorite one, so talking about self-expression. I wrote this about 6 months after I had broken up with my girlfriend of 2 years. And then that summer I ended up going to New Orleans, spent a month in Oaxaca in Mexico, and I stayed at an art studio there, so I was making art. And this was like the first time in my life when I was able to do this, like express myself and actually do what I wanted. And this book captures it pretty well. And everybody who reads it loves it. So I'm very proud of this one. So if you're interested in that, I'll have that for sale too. All right, guys, I hope you got something out of this. I hope I kind of lived up to my name. All right, thanks. And I can take any questions you want. That guy in the back, blue shirt.
I had a question about ayahuasca. It's been something that I've been looking into, and from what I understand, like you were saying, you like speak to spirits or gods or however you want to represent it. And my thing is that I wanted to go in there, but I'm afraid that there might be a spirit with malevolent intentions, and I'm opening myself up to communications with whatever is in there. So
Yeah.
how do you deal with that?
You have to go to the proper shaman, because you will have this conversation with them before. Yeah, if you go to a proper shaman, because people have had very, very terrifying, dangerous experiences. I don't think anyone's died in ayahuasca, but they have terrifying experiences that mess them up for a very long time. Finding the proper shaman is the number one thing. If you want more information, I could give you my guy in Peru. Definitely, he's got the best medicine and like the safest place to do it. Yeah, but the shaman that's the number one thing. You don't want to do it with some hokey pokey.
Right. Thank you, Goldmund. Excellent speech. So Rolo talked about hypergamy before, and then you talk about your game with the girl Friday night. And to me, my take on learning seduction and pickup skills is to have not only get more women, but also have higher quality women in your life, either for sex or relationships. So for you, it seems like that the girl Friday night is way out of your league. Compliment there, by the way.
Wait, no, out of my league?
Oh, sorry, you are out of her league.
Yeah.
The other way. So she's let's say, no. Okay. Let's say she is like here and you're probably there.
Yeah.
And so I want to see what's your take on this. So, like, do you still go out just meet whatever women you want, or do you have a higher proportion of high quality women in your life right now?
Yeah, I've learned to go to the places where there was higher quality. I mean, honestly, I did that because it was kind of a show for the guys. Okay. That was, yeah, but and it wasn't that bad. I mean, it wasn't. But yes, the quality has skyrocketed since learning game. Especially when the quality really took off was after I had that relationship, and after my relationship, then the real self-confidence was there. But yes, when I go, I usually go for very high quality. Yeah, but I did that girl for fun. All right.
So I have a bit of experience with psychedelics, and I've done DMT a couple of times, but I did not break through. I'm wondering if you've tried DMT, and how does it differ from ayahuasca?
I have not tried DMT, so I don't have experience with that. A lot of my friends have, but yeah, I don't like it seems like too much too fast. That's why I stayed away. So yeah, I can't compare it, but what I have talked about is like ayahuasca's, it's many, many hours. So you're out usually 4 or 5 hours. So that's until the shaman says stop. This is another amazing thing about ayahuasca. That's why the shaman is so important, is once he starts the ceremony and it gets going, you could be very, very deep into it. And I mean visions, you could be out in outer space. As soon as the shaman stops everything, puts the fire out and decides the ceremony's over, you come right back. It's terrifying, like how much control he has. That's why you need a good one.
So when you're approaching these girls with your camera and you're giving them these signs to take pictures of, is there like a common theme or like a reaction they give to you when they're holding up these signs of like what it means to be masculine?
Well, I do different projects all the time. That was just a couple of projects because I usually had them answer a question. Yeah, that was one of them, what it means to be masculine. Yeah, I don't like that one because they kind of get defensive about it. As soon as you talk about masculinity, the girls get defensive. So that was just more for, I wanted to see the reactions. But the best thing with camera game is you could tell right away if the girl's really interested, which is really interesting because she'll start asking you questions like, what is this about? She'll ask you about yourself. And she'll be either really interested or she'll kind of shoo you away. And another thing about the camera game is why I'm so adamant about it, is it puts you in a great dynamic right away. Like you're the guy, you're telling her what to do, you're telling her to pose, she's moving around, like she's coming into your world, and you set that relationship up right away. So it makes it so much easier if you take her out on a date, and then she's used to following your lead, and it's just a great dynamic it sets up.
Any other questions?
So how do you prepare for a night out?
How do I prepare for a night out? I do have somewhat of a routine. I mean, good music is highly important to get your energy levels up. I mean, I've been listening, the new LCD sound system record is really, really good. I've been listening to that a lot lately. Exercise, do some push-ups. I mean, diet is really important. That day, if I'm going out, I'm going out all the time, so I have a pretty healthy diet. Beet juice has been magic. Espresso, and just bouncing around and just getting ready and getting excited as possible. All right, and out of your head. You don't want to be sitting there reading philosophy before you go out. It's not going to work.
All right, guys, we are done.
All right. Thank you, guys.